Hi everyone, Matt from Snare here. Welcome to another how-to video. Today I'll be showing you how to centrally manage groups of agents using Snare Central. For those of you who haven't used Snare Central yet, it's an appliance that can be deployed to act as a broker within your log management environment. It can provide additional monitoring and reporting capabilities, and you can use it to centrally manage configuration of your agents to save time. Before we jump to the product, let me just show you the two options you have when deploying Snare Central. Here we have a group of machines, we're collecting their logs using Snare agents, and we want to forward our logs to a SIEM or maybe an MSSP. This setup will do the trick, but we don't want to manage our agents individually, so we decided to deploy Snare Central. This allows us to configure groups of agents from a single pane of glass, but also gives us the option to license them centrally rather than applying individual licenses to each machine. This already is a huge improvement. However, we have another option. We can redirect all our logs to flow through Snare Central to benefit from central log storage with custom retention policies, run local reports without having to refer to SIEM, apply additional filtering to save on SIEM costs by reducing its use, and also centrally manage log forwarding to multiple destinations. In this configuration, we have all the additional benefits and we can still centrally manage our agents, so this is the setup I want to go for today. Obviously, real-life environments can get much more complex with multiple sites, many instances of Snare Central for more granularity or redundancy, and multiple destinations, but we will keep it simple today. So now we know what we're doing, let's go and do it. Here I have 4 Windows 10 VMs, A, B, C and D, as well as Snare Central instance, all on one network. I will be using Virtual Machine A to apply initial configuration, and then I will use Snare Central to grab this config and apply across the remaining machines. This approach is extremely scalable and will support hundreds or even thousands of machines. On machine A, I have my standard configuration with out-of-the-box objectives, so I am collecting log-on log-off events, process events, and so on. If you wish to know more about objectives and how to configure them, we have a separate video on that. Here we're just going to leave the defaults. Okay, first I'd like to configure destination where my logs are sent to, and for this I'm going to use my Snare Central with the IP address of 10.A.2.1. I want to use TLS for better security, which uses port 6163. If you don't change the port number, you will get a notification, so you don't have to remember this. Next, I want to change the web UI to use HTTPS, so I need to specify a certificate. I'm going to use this self-signed cert, which I have already copied onto all my machines. Normally, I would recommend using a wildcard certificate and distribute it using GPO, so it's ready on all machines before we make this configuration change. Now I can go to the Access Configuration section and select HTTPS. I want to also restrict access to my agents, so only Snare Central and this management VM are allowed. Obviously, you will need a relevant inbound rule on your machines, and again, you can use GPO for this. Finally, I want to secure my agents with a strong password, so I can specify it here. Now I need to apply all the changes, and this will restart the service. This way, I have prepared my VM A with adequate configuration, and I will now use Snare Central to retrieve this config and push it to all my other VMs. Okay, let's switch to Snare Central and navigate to the remote management section. Here, I'm going to clone the default group, rename it and configure. At the top, we can select the correct agent type, and this is very useful as it allows us to have separate profiles for Windows, Linux or SQL agents of different versions. I can apply additional filtering using simple names or regex. Next, because my agents are not reporting to Snare Central yet, I need to specify their IP address range, so it knows where to find them. Here I can specify required passwords and protocol. Because we want to retrieve config from our VM A, which is already set to use HTTPS, this is what I need to select. Okay, that's it for now, and we can save and run this objective. Once it's finished, we can see that we can only talk to machine A. This is expected, as others are still using HTTP. The next step is to retrieve master config from our VM A. And here it is. All the details that we configured earlier are now visible here, including allowed IP addresses, certificate thumbprint, or compacted objectives information. What we can do now is modify our objective to use HTTP, so we can talk to agents B, C, and D, which have not been configured yet. We can now regenerate our objectives to see config differences. And we can review these differences here. For instance, the destination IP address, allowed IP addresses for remote access, or HTTPS and certificate ID. We are now ready for the final step of changing this objective to the push mode, where master config can be applied automatically to ensure all our agents have consistent configuration. And this is how we do this. Let's run this objective once more. Once it's finished, we need to make one final modification. Change the protocol back to HTTPS and run it one last time. Now we can see we have no config differences among our machines. Let's confirm this by going to the interface of VMB. We can now see we're using HTTPS and we can see credentials request. Finally, we can also confirm that Snare Central is now receiving logs from all 4 VMs. And this is it. We have configured 4 agents, but it would require no more effort to configure hundreds or thousands of agents. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Watch our entire Problem Solved series to learn more ways to easily glean additional value from your Snare solution.